Hello, everyone. I'm
Hel-
here again with Owning Dishonest Shills, and this is a comment from a shield for men. He's one of my subs, or at least he's commented on my channel.
Yes.
And this shield for men, we're not here to attack you. We're actually just criticizing you. So don't believe that we have something against you. And want to
Uh,
read? Yes, excuse
yeah,
me.
we're gonna read a comment, but I'm gonna explain why I think it's actually important to debunk what a shield for men is saying.
Yes,
We
exactly.
we did a hangout debunking a Marxist. He was like wanting to get rid of the state and
Yeah,
replace it with his own version of the state. Really, he was being honest. So because
yeah,
you can't get rid of the state, and unfortunately, it's the same with anarcho-capitalists as well. They talk about getting rid of the state, but at the end of the day, they're going to replace it with their own version of the state. And here's another problem as well. Both ideologies, Marxism and anarcho-capitalism, are both completely unworkable, and they're both going to end up to be anti-male.
exactly. And
Yeah.
And then I'm sorry if the word letters are so small, guys, but if we max it out, they kind of cut off at the end. But I'll
Yes.
stop it here. So if you guys want an easy read there, you can. And now I'll go to
Yeah.
reading it. Now, first of
Okay.
all, Dilferman says, first of all, Walter Block is the, what was it? The libertarian I was responding. We can hear everything at your end there. ODS.
Well, can you hear my hand moving? Oh,
There's a lot of shuffling.
okay. All right. I'm going to stop holding the phone. I can't look at the screen then. I'm going
Oh,
to have to rely on you to look at things then. All right.
okay.
Let's carry on.
First of all, Walter Block does not speak for all libertarians. There are also pro-life libertarians. We're talking about pro-life. Second, you don't differentiate between minarchist and anarchist. Ron Paul is a small government minarchist, and that means he wants taxes for things like military and police, courts, and not much else. Oh,
So I want to interject. I
wait,
want
just
to
a
interject.
minute. ODS,
Yeah.
don't be afraid. You may as well hold your phone because it's not changing the sound anyway. So go ahead, fold it up. Look.
I don't. How is it shuffling?
I don't
That's
know.
weird.
Okay, but you go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So this world that Ron Paul wants, like just a court system, military and police, it's basically removing all the good things the state does, right, and just leaving the repressive elements in. So, police to protect the rich, the military to attack other countries and steal their resources, and give the working peons and the non-working peons of the country nothing. That's what it's going to end up like.
Yes.
So
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
it's going to be an absolutely atrocious world to live in.
Yes. Now, also, ODS, I want to mention that I don't really believe Ron Paul means what he says because, I mean, politicians are paid through taxes. I mean, these guys don't really, if you're high up, you don't really believe in this libertarian stuff.
If you're a politician and you're part of the Republican Party, what you believe in practice is subsidies for corporations and handouts to
Yes.
corporations. That's what they always do every single time. This free market rhetoric is just gaslighting. It's
Yes.
very similar to feminism, actually. Feminists do the same thing. They've got this, oh, we're for equality, we want to get rid of gender roles. And it just turns out to be gaslighting because they don't do what they
Yes.
say. It's the same with these Republican types.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're all the same and they're just not worth, their ideas are not even worth entertaining.
Yeah.
They should be dismissed.
Yeah.
If you,
The libertarians bring up Ron Paul all the time
yeah.
as if believing that they want to believe that he believes in it, what he's saying, but he doesn't, you know? So, okay, Walter Block, let's take the next one. Walter Block is an ANCAP. The ANCAPs want absolutely no taxes, which is impossible because we want no government at all. Government is the actual parasite that takes from the productive and gives it to the unproductive or consumes itself, and government produces nothing. It only distributes something.
Right. So let's pick this statement apart. Okay. Government is the actual parasite that taxes from the productive. No, because without the infrastructure and investment and laws and regulations, there would be no productive, or people would be far less productive.
Yeah.
Right, and also it's given to the unproductive is because the nuclear family is broke, not the extended family is broken up, right, and people themselves do not support unprotected people well enough. They don't support the homeless. They don't support disabled relatives. So the state has to step in, right? So if a family has kids and boots one of them out for no reason because they don't like him, boots them out from the age of 10, right? Who's going to step in? It's going to be the state, isn't it? It's going to have to be the state,
Yeah.
right? There's many unfortunate people, due to no fault of their own, find themselves in a bad situation, and you need a state to look after them because the rest of society is not going to. And I know ANCAP say, "Oh, charities will step in, blah blah blah," but it's been proven that rich people per capita pay less to charity than poor people. And here's another thing as well: the charity is going to be biased towards women. It women who'll get most of the charity. As we see now, we don't see many homeless women compared to men. And even Orwell, when he was homeless in the UK in the early 30s, only saw one homeless woman his entire time being homeless. So this is why we need a state to look after people and step in. That's what a humane state does.
The trouble with being unproductive and productive is that a productive person can become unproductive. Like, let's say a military vet that gets I'm getting the wrong words, but
PTSD.
Yeah, thank you. He breaks down mentally or physically. He's not productive anymore. So,
Yes.
And that could be happening to anyone. A worker just falls down,
Yes.
hits his head, and he's brainless. I mean, people have to take care of them.
Yes. Yes.
And by the way, another thing, all these guys who say that are usually guys who are still working themselves or still productive themselves. But as soon as they themselves become unproductive, they change their tunes. All these libertarians either change their tunes or they make excuses for themselves.
One of the most famous libertarian MGTOWs, right, the most prominent libertarian MGTOW, Third Finger Monkey, he did the same thing. Because he's admitted in Hangouts that he had an abusive childhood. He couldn't compete in the job market, right? So he had to join the military. That's his get out clause, basically. And he ended up joining the Navy. And he's left the Navy. I'm not sure if he gets an army pension or not because he doesn't talk about it. I don't know how it works, but he probably does. But anyway, he stayed there long enough to build up his life and fix himself up. And now he rails against taxes. And taxes go towards the unproductive. When he, without shame, joined the military industrial complex. So also, look, this libertarian talk, because they're not going to admit it, this libertarian ANCAP talk is about social Darwinism. The strong survive and the weak dying off. Because they see themselves as the strong. But like you said, if they become the weak, they're going to change their tune in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and that's why it doesn't work.
No. Trevor, didn't you tell me about Americans, right when Americans crossing the border to get Canadian healthcare for free?
Yes, I wish I could find it. I've been searching for it, but there's a news segment where there were the Tea Party, the elderly were actually crossing the border because the healthcare wasn't cheap; it was affordable. That's two different things.
Yeah.
They were willing to spend what they could, but they just couldn't afford it down the States.
Yes.
And they were the Tea Party, right? So for them, it was all of a sudden they tried to say, "Well, isn't this hypocritical?" And they just said no. Because
yeah. Well, you know what? You can only be a hypocrite if you've got shame.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, shall we carry on reading the comment?
Yes, anarcho-capitalists would be better alternative for men because courts would operate under a free market, competing with each other. That means
hold it. That's the most ridiculous. Yeah, that's the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard. So free markets competing, courts, free market competing with each other. But what? Okay. Here, first of all, that implies you've got to pay for justice one way or another. Okay, you've got to pay for justice. I'm against that. I'm actually against the current system. I don't believe in being able to hire lawyers, period. We should be able to set up a justice system where you get your justice for free.
Yes.
Everyone gets the same level of justice.
Everyone gets it. Exactly.
So, but this is even worse, this system, competing court systems. And so poor people will get lesser justice and rich people will get better justice because they pay for more. Because obviously in a free market system, the rich get better service. You can't deny that, a shield for men. So you want some multiple tier justice system where the poorest people get the worst justice.
Yeah.
And the rich get
the other
better
thing
justice.
is he's not mentioning how would they compete, because if you go to one court and they find you guilty, how can you then jump to the next court?
Yeah.
You know,
Or do people disagree? Like, no, I want to go to this court. I want to go. No, I want to go to that court. Like, will the courts go to war with each other to prove who's fight for the jurisdiction? How does it work?
yeah, you couldn't
Like,
have justice that way.
yeah,
It has to
ridiculous
be
idea.
integrated entirely.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
every one system.
yes. The current legal system is corrupt enough as it is. This would make it even worse.
Yeah. Well, you know, if there's a comparison, there'd be like Muslims, like first generation Muslims, their women would come over and they would choose between the religious Muslim courts or the Western courts, depending
Yeah.
on which was giving them the better deal.
Well, the thing is, the Muslim courts. Here's the thing. That's a bit of a myth. The Muslim courts. There are Shia courts, and there's Jewish courts as well in the UK. But you can only. I'm sure this is in every single Western country. It's the same. You can only arbitrate in them if both parties agree to it.
Yes.
So it's like they just resolve the dispute outside the legal system for you if you agree to it. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it is a way for the women to avoid like a divorce court here if the Western divorce court wasn't giving them what they wanted.
Right.
And, you know, that it's something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Vice courts get outcompeted by more neutral courts, resulting in a better legal system.
No, nonsense. Because people, all right, bias. People in the court systems are not looking for objectivity; they're looking to win, right? Okay, so like if you're in trouble, right, like a serial killer like chopped up loads of people using an extreme analogy, and he's been caught. He's not looking for an impartial legal system, right? He wants one that's going to get him off scot free. And if he's got money, he'll go to the one that favors him the most likely to get him off scot free. So the people with money will go to the system that favors them. The people without money are going to be screwed.
Exactly. Even more so than they already are. Your
Yes.
money has to be taken out of the court system. It's that simple.
Yes.
Okay. In Ancapistan, people would associate themselves only with communities who are fitting for them. Right off the bat, there are people that don't fit into any community. There'd be
Yes.
pro-male communities who would let only pro-male people in. Man haters, this is false. Men
Yes.
want women around, no matter
Yes.
what. This
Yes.
will attract more and more men into these communities, which force other communities in Ancapistan to become more pro-male because they depend on men.
Okay, this is utility.
Yeah, go ahead.
Groveling. This is utility groveling right here, basically. Oh no, men are useful. If we treat, they'll see how useful you are. We've got to treat us better. It's a fantasy, I'm afraid.
Well, for one thing, the reason why things have gotten so bad is because men's usefulness is being taken over by machinery anyway.
Yes.
But even so, I mean, you want to deal in society that you're. It doesn't matter if you're useful. You're a human being, and that's why you're. You know.
Yes, and also men who are useful still get abused by the system. Like that, we like that game designer. I can't remember his name. He got Me Too'd a couple of years back. He ended up killing himself. Right, he got ostracized. He was useful, right? What about Johnny Depp? He was a big star, right? He was given a zap over Pirates of the Caribbean, and now they're making an all-female remake. They know it's not going to make as much money as it will with Johnny Depp, but they don't care. Usefulness and productivity, utility is not going to be defended to bad treatment. So it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And here's the thing: if these pro-male communities formed in your society, in your capitalist utopia, right? What will end up happening is the women worshipping communities would have the women in them, and they'll point a finger at these small pro-male communities because they would be small if they existed at all. They'll be so tiny, and the women would go, "Oh no, these are creepy, they're dangerous misogynists," and the rest of society will like kick their ass and crush them. That's what will happen.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, now you want to look at innovation.
And capital being not so centric like other systems. So that's the last bit, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, let's anyway, there's some more comments from this guy, and they're too long to go through because there's quite a few of them. So the gist of it is he linked me to an article from Maury Rothband. That's pronouncing his name properly. So
The
I
Mises
remember it.
Institute? Here we
Mises
go.
Institute, yes, it's
Okay.
Maury Ruff Band, I think. Is that how you pronounce it? Whatever. So anyway, just to make this clear, this was written in 1959. So
Yeah.
I don't think it really backs up a shield for men's argument, because in my opinion, I'm not going to go through the entire article. We'll link it so you can read it for yourself. But in my opinion, this article is cherry picking anyway. But I want to get to the end to try and debunk the conclusion of this article. So let's go back
Yes,
down.
exactly.
Let's
So
go.
we'll go down to where we get to.
As you can see, this is why we can't read it all, because it would absolutely take ages.
It take us forever, yeah. So
Yeah. So we're not
So
being dishonest by doing this. We're just like I said, we'll link this article and you can read it for yourself. So anyway,
now, let's see if I can't expand it for you a bit more. Can you?
that's perfect. That's
Okay.
perfect. Yeah. So scroll up to the top.
Did
Yes.
I get up to the top here? Or maybe I've gone too far. No, I've gone too far.
Go down. Yeah, go down. Yes.
There it is. Let me get it up here for you. There you go. Try that.
Okay. So anyway, this article is about how the free market is more effective as science, right? And it just like quotes certain individuals and certain inventors, and talks about certain individual inventors and how it's more effective as state-funded science. As we know, computers only exist because of state funding. Okay, they were completely unprofitable between the 40s and then until the late 70s, right? Only the government and a few big corporations were the consumers for this, and the research was paid for by the government. The internet is infrastructure built by the government. Okay, and yes, sometimes individuals and corporations will add to it and they'll invent stuff, but they're doing so in the context of a society where most of the stuff is subsidized and paid for by the government. Also, I want to point out something else as well at the top of this article. Murray Rothbard was trying to argue that subsidizing research by corporations was more effective than the government doing it. So, a shield for men. I don't know why you linked me to this article, because this guy doesn't even agree with you if you're a pure anarcho-capitalist. This guy is a corporatist. He wants to subsidize corporations, right? So Murray Rothbard is not a free market advocate. He's just falsely wearing the label, in my opinion. He's a corporatist through and through, because all these guys are. So I'm going to read. Planned science sounds impressive. Actually, it means prohibited science, where no scientist can follow the lead of his own creative ideas. Well, not everyone. Yeah, you've got that going on in the capitalist science right now with like feminism. That's polluting science. That's a risk that all societies face. And in an capitalist society, right, people are going to be living in communities and they're going to prohibit things as well. Trust me, it's not going to change. It's humans prohibiting other humans doing stuff, right? Not just the state. The state is just a mechanism for human nature, for humans to act out, behaving the way they do. It extends their power. It doesn't really change their nature at all. So we've heard a great deal recently about the alleged glories of Soviet science, about the necessity of the United States catching up with such wonders as Sputnik. What is the real record of Soviet science? Professor Baker, analysing the record, shows that at the beginning of the Soviet Union, the old pre-revolutionary scientists continued to do well, largely because science was not yet under government planning. Okay, that's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Because basically there was less government back then than there is now anyway. And as I'm going to prove, I wouldn't trust these claims simply because we're going to prove them wrong later on.
Yeah.
We're going to look at a wiki article. And yet the Russians did have good scientists, but I don't think that's because of the free market. All the good scientists were probably aristocrats who had free time to be scientists. That's my guess. So,
yes, historically there has been cases where the nobility were the scientists.
Yeah. That wasn't a free market system either, was it? That's feudalism basically until it turned into capitalism.
Yeah.
Right. So, largely because the sciences it was not yet under government planning. That came with the second 5-year plan. In 1932, the plan set forth very broad subjects for investigation, but by the nature of such a plan, many important areas were excluded from the required agenda. Yet that was bad by the Soviet Union. I admit that. Take almost any branch of non-revolutionary biological science in which outstanding discoveries were made in the outside world during the years of the plan, and you're likely to find the whole subject was excluded from study. For example, the study of hormones and genetics. Well, we're going to disprove that. the Lisco controversy, the use of the state to eradicate the science of genetics in Soviet Russia, the compulsory twisting of the truth by the Soviet state to fit the ideological myth of its rulers are well known. But okay, I'm going to give another example in the West of bad science. Apparently, we could have discovered exoplanets a lot sooner than we first discovered them. But there's a lot of people in the astronomy community who are against it. They thought it would be like a waste of time using this technique, right? But we ended up using it like 10 years later. They delayed the discovery of science. This always happens. It doesn't matter what the society is. There's always people who are stuck in their old ways. You don't want to try new things. Right, there's a lot of biases, institutional biases when it comes to science, like feminism. Again, in universities, is very problematic and it's polluting the scientific method, in my opinion. But this is something that doesn't just affect the Soviet Union. Okay. The use of the state to eradicate the science of genetics in Soviet Russia, the compulsory twisting of truth by the Soviet state to fit the ideological myth of its rulers are well known, but can hardly be overstated. It's important to realise that it's not simply because the Soviet Union Nazi leaders were particularly perverse men that they reached out to prevent or cripple science drive for truth. He throws in the Nazis there, poisoning well, but because such actions are inherent in the very nature of statism. Hang on. Right, this very author who wrote this article earlier on, he advocated for states funding corporations to do research. He said it was more efficient than the government doing it. So isn't that statism, right? And I'm sorry, he's trying to poison people and say, look, the Soviet statism and the Nazi statism is just like the statism in the USA. What? I'm sorry. As flawed as the USA is, you really can't compare it to the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany. Come on. Christ. That's a pretty extreme position to take. And then you know what? Murray Rothband, I think he was a propagandist for the Koch brothers, if I remember correctly. He was getting funded by them. He was getting funded by right-wing think tanks, rich people. And what they're just doing, they're trying to convince working class poor Americans not to advocate their own self-interest and not to advocate for regulation of the corporations and for them to be kept in line. They don't believe in getting rid of the state. And when government intervention favors them, they're going to gobble it all up, basically.
Yeah, so this is the true elites, you know.
Yes.
You know, they'll have all these elite conspiracies theories.
Yes.
Like the Koch brothers backed feminism and all this bullshit.
Yes.
But something in this case where they really are pushing it, they're blind to. You know?
Yes. Yes. So power and its promotion, advancement of the ideology of power became the highest social goal of science, for which all truth and integrity must give way. Government control of science, planning of science is bound to result in the politicization of science, the substitution of political goals and political criteria for scientific ones. No, because we've been in the West, apart from feminists investing things, it's been pretty good for that. I tell you what these lobbies try to do as well, actually. I think this is projection, even though this was written in 1959. A lot of global warming denialism is funded by corporations and rich people as well, because they don't want government regulation on the pollution and emitting CTOs. So, yeah. So I think this is projection. The substitution of political goals and political criteria for scientific ones. Even pro-Soviet scientists have admitted Soviet research is inferior to American too. They don't quote anyone. That basic is contrasted to applied research is neglected. There is too much red tape. This is just standard whining about bureaucracy and red tape. The little fundamentally creative work that has been done. That science is unduly governed by little considerations. That all science should be. Not all science, but most science should be done by political considerations, because first of all, it's going to be funded by the state, right? Some science is better than other science. Like, you don't want a lunatic doing research into viruses, and not have proper protection. And maybe some stuff shouldn't be researched at all because it's so dangerous. Who knows? It's up for political debate, right?
Yes.
It's always politicized. So, yeah.
Also, this idea that the individual inventor is so superior is not true, because simpler factors, there are things that need like so much investment. so much
Yes.
capital and so many people involved. A single inventor can't do it. You need
Yes.
someone to back him.
Yes.
And of course, the government is going to be much more neutral than, let's say, a corporation. A corporation
And
is,
here,
yes,
yes, cool. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
a corporation is going to demand results immediately. They are going to
Yes.
demand a product that sells.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
the government's not going to demand that. They are for the science.
That's a good point as well. The private state, everyone's got their own agenda, right? Groups and entities going to have their own agenda. Politicians have an agenda, whether good or bad. So will corporations. So that their science is not going to be neutral. The problem is a lot of science is not profitable, or it's not profitable in the short term. So it's just not going to get done, right? It's just not going to get done. So a corporation might research better microchips, right, for their smartphones or computers, but they're not going to research anything that long term. They're
Yes.
not. So yeah,
They're not going to do
just,
science for the sake of science.
yes,
A great example is that the vaccine that's been come out this year was a world record. They did it in 1 year because there was actually ongoing research for 5 years before this,
yes,
without them knowing that it was ever going to happen.
yes,
And if it's up to a corporation, the corporation needs at first that the problem is there so that they can
yes,
sell their product. So they would
yes,
be starting from scratch if the scientists depended on a corporation to study
yes,
the coronavirus, right? COVID.
yes, yes. Here's another thing as well, right? Let's look at PragerU.
Yeah, yeah.
Screenshot PragerU.
Here's PragerU. Let me put up
Yes,
that.
because
Oh wait,
like I
that
said,
might
they
be too
don't.
big. Can you see this?
Okay, yeah, but scroll to the top. Scroll to the top. But here's
Okay.
the thing: these corporations don't believe in the free market, right? They believe in the free market for you, not for them.
Yes.
So let me read it. PragerU. Conservative ideas are under attack. YouTube currently lists over 200 PragerU videos under restricted mode, making it difficult for many young people to access our videos. Yeah, because I don't think your videos are actually appropriate for young people. A lot of it's too political. It's propaganda, actually. PragerU, your videos has too much disinformation in them. I want to show them to kids. Sign and retweet the petition to stop big tech censorship. No, because you've not been censored. You should be restricted to adult mode.
Yeah.
So now here's an earlier tweet by PragerU. If a baker won't bake your cake, find another baker. Don't demand that the state will tell him what to do with his private business. There you go. So this is in the case of gay couples going to a bakery and the bakery refused to bake them a cake for the wedding. I think that's what it is, right?
Probably something along those
So
lines. Yeah.
yeah, that's the most famous case. So PragerU, who are probably homophobes, let's face it, but they're free market fanatics in this case. They could go, no, it's their private business. The state shouldn't intervene. Don't tell them what to do. Now they want to sue Google. They want to sue Google for censoring them. I'm
Yes.
sorry, Google owns YouTube. That's their own platform. That's their own business, right? If they don't want to bake your cake, to use your analogy, PragerU, go and bake your cake somewhere else. Put your videos elsewhere. Period.
Yes.
Period. And I point out PragerU because they got loads of propaganda videos on the virtue of the free market, just cherry-picked ones. Like they'll list a bunch of inventors or individuals who do something and invent something or make lots of money, but then they won't mention the fact that the US, in that time period, the US economy developed while it was under tariffs. That closed the economy off and stopped it competing with other economies. They protected their markets. Every single major industrial country that developed protected their markets at one point, right? And countries that don't get to protect their markets, like third world countries, often forced to keep their markets open by the International Monetary Fund, they never develop. They remain third world shitholes. That's the pattern. The free market is a dogma. They're fundamentalists, and they don't even follow their own dogma because when it's convenient, they'll abandon it in a heartbeat.
They will.
It's a worthless ideology.
It is. Like I said before, now that China has been becoming such a powerhouse, Trump, when he was in, wanted to put tariffs in the States. So he wasn't, did they go back on it?
Yes.
And, PragerU, look, it's the hypocrisy of PragerU, right?
Yes.
Because if PragerU didn't go, I could believe them saying, okay, we want this platform, we're going to sue, but we don't believe in this bullshit. We don't believe, in this, the baker has to be forced to bake a gay couple of cake
Yeah.
if
But it's a
YouTube is
suing,
forced to short videos.
it's a suing that makes them hypocrites, in other words. If they
Yeah,
really believed in it, they wouldn't be suing. Basically, they wouldn't be begging.
exactly.
They would
That's
go,
what I mean.
yeah,
It's the
they'll go,
hypocrisy.
yes, yes. They'll go, oh yeah, the free market will fix this. But of course, PragerU doesn't believe the free market will fix this, right? They're not behaving like it will because they
No.
know it won't. They know deep down their free market ideology is utter horseshit.
And this is something too that is tough for you this is what they're saying tough for you because they know that their videos being put somewhere else are not going to be seen
Yeah.
in anywhere that the near volume of viewers. And
Yes.
the reason why they're so desperate is YouTube is the place for videos.
Yes. So there's such psychopaths. When the little guy's getting screwed and they need the state to intervene, they'll go, no, the state's not for you. But
Yeah.
when they want to have some redress, they'll go running to the state.
Yes.
Yes. So let's look at the Soviet science Wikipedia.
Let's do this.
I don't think we need to read each individual article. I think
No.
let's just go through it quickly.
Okay.
But we don't need to read like shit. So
Did you want to look at the 1920s?
a little bit slower, just a little bit slower. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just bringing it up for you.
All right. So here, if you could, we'll link this article. You can find the list of Soviet inventions.
Yeah.
Basically, and there's quite a lot of inventions that the Soviet Union actually invented.
Exactly.
So you got to think it wasn't a first world country. It was catching up with industrialization. It was attacked by Nazi Germany and lost about 20 million people and was devastated as well. I think what they managed to achieve is actually quite impressive, all things considering. See, that is what it's not even fair to compare the Soviet Union to USA when it comes to science, in my opinion. But they still did remarkably well. So let's carry on scrolling.
Yeah, we'll just see like stem cells.
Stem cells,
24. Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize that.
Primordial soup hypothesis.
Yes.
That I think that basically means it's the primordial soup. That's the origin of life, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. Light emitting gene pool in 28. I didn't realize how old some of these ideas are, too, right?
Yes.
Catalytic
blood transfusion, tele-tank military robot. That's a robot you can control by remote control, I presume.
That's way back in the 1920s.
Yeah. Modern ship hull design, helicopter, I think we made a point. I don't think we need to scroll through it all.
We did exactly. We did it before, and it took us forever. Inventions here, but they list them all the way up to pretty well.
Yes.
Modern times.
Yes.
So that debunks that idea.
Okay. Yes. So I don't know why you linked me to that article for Shield for Men, because again, he doesn't agree with you. You're an ANCAP. He's a right-wing neoconservative, Murray Rothband. Yeah. So, like I said, he believes in corporations getting subsidized to do government research. He doesn't actually believe in the free market doing it. If there's a true free marketeer, he'll go, no, it doesn't need getting done unless it's done by the free market, period. But he's not. Yeah. Right? So he wants to try and get...
What they're also not mentioning or willing to admit is that really it's just this desperation to shake things up so you can rise higher in the, these guys, all libertarians are hoping to rise in their own status. It's not working in this system. Yeah, go ahead.
They think the state's getting in the way of them getting status. That's what it is.
Yes.
The state's in the way. You're like, no. Look, a shield for men, you're like me. You're a nobody. Without state, you'll get crushed completely. You'll get crushed. Like you'd be you might end up with the bitch of some gang. They'll just come along, point a gun at you. They'll either shoot you, take your stuff, or they'll enslave you. That's a real possibility. It was happened to me. It was happened to Trevor.
Yeah, we're just nobodies. This is what we have to deal with as men.
Or we would have to join our own gang. We'd have to join. We'll join that lot of people for protection. There'll be all gangs. It would be, look. If men can't organise in this current world right now with the internet and mass communications, right? They're not going to do it in an ANCAP society. Yeah. Right? There's going to be no internet in an ANCAP society, or it's going to be very, 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 very shitty. I promise you that. Because in an ANCAP society, it would only come about if things start collapsing. Period. And they wouldn't rebuild.
just think it's the same as in prison. You go in prison,
Yeah.
there's no government to go to. So,
Yes.
so if
Yeah.
one guy, if there's a gang of guys who want to beat the shit out of you in prison, what do you do? You know, it's the same idea. It'd just be outdoors instead of behind bars.
Yes. So, like I said, if men can't organise now, they're not going to do it ever. They're not going to do it in an ANCAP society. This is just as unrealistic and stupid as a Marxist society, right? But at least the Soviets talked about taking care of people, right? So because ANCAP stuff is basically social Darwinism, and I hate to say it, a lot of it's crypto-fascism. Not all libertarians, not all ANCAPs are, but a lot of them use the label as a shield, right? And the ones who are not, they enable the extreme right-wing fascist ones to wear the label, because when you call them out rightfully, they'll go, oh, no, you're smearing them as Nazis. They're actually ANCAPs and libertarians. How dare you? But they do wear the label. I've seen them. I've seen libertarians and ANCAPs rant on about white genocide, right, and stuff like that. So they are extreme right-wing ultra-reactionaries. And like, what about Stephen Molyneux? He's an ANCAP, or he was. He was ranting on about race and IQ all the time. He was absolutely obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I think I've said everything that needs to be said.
Exactly. That's why you came to a halt, because I think we're just beating a dead horse at this point.
Yes. So, Shield for Men, just please think your ideas through and reconsider them, because your current ones are pretty bad. And you're going to hit a intellectual roadblock until you reevaluate your position.
Yes. And this is a big problem with men that I see, especially with the libertarians and ANCAPs, is that they don't want to admit that their motivations is that they want to raise and, you know, and because they don't want to admit that, they want to pretend it's something altruistic, but it is altruistic.
Yes. And here's the thing: what the ideas wouldn't even raise their status. That's the pathetic thing. It would actually damage a lot of their statuses. Actually, it would actually make things worse for them.
Yeah. So that's why high status guys aren't libertarians, or well, they're never in libertarians, but they're either the ones that admit that they aren't, or the ones that say they are but aren't. Those are your two choices.
They promote it, mate. The ones who promote it are not libertarians for sure. They're paid to promote it. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
So I think we're repeating ourselves.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, ODS. This has been great. Talk to you again.
Yes.